Hello, world. Welcome to the Love Lizzy podcast. I am recording this from the Love Lizzy farm, where Sweet Billy Dog, our Love Lizzy mascot, lays beneath my feet, and pears and avocados grow on the trees outside my window. Before diving into episode 1, I want to set the stage for the upcoming season and talk a bit about why we are here. My first love was my mother, the original Lizzy. I remember how safe I felt next to her as a little girl. She had a sort of magic about her, a light worker, if you will, lending an ear to those struggling and providing spaces for healing, understanding, and growth. She was also an artist, a therapist, and a deeply feeling human herself. And like many who give so generously to others, she struggled with the ability to get enough rest and renewal. When I was 12, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, which led to a decade-long journey of chemotherapy, radiation, remission, and reoccurrence, until ultimately she passed away the summer before I graduated college. Despite the challenges that cancer brought to her life, my mother persevered. And if you met her while she was sick, you would have never known she was in the fight of her life. My mother, her light, and her death shaped me. It informed who I became and how I navigated the world. On one hand, I now had to figure out how to survive this heartbreak. And on the other, I had inherited her light-working powers. And without her here to teach me how to use them, I spent nearly 2 decades trying to figure it out. If you're someone who feels things deeply like I do, you'll understand this. Where others seem to easily let things roll off their shoulders, I felt things deeply. Where a friend could ride in a taxi silently, I spent the entire ride hearing the driver's story and holding space for their emotions. And when the world starts to quake with violence, division, and darkness, I feel every shake. Sometimes this sensitivity superpower led to exhaustion and depression, especially before I understood how to channel this power and care for myself along the way. In my journey from movie producer and entertainment executive to certified coach, I've spent over a decade studying internal family systems, nervous system health, and self-determination theory, while guiding CEOs, founders, and hundreds of women to build businesses, tap into their potential, and bring their dreams to life, while navigating life's uncertainties. What I've learned is that living a full and creative life as a deeply feeling human is only possible with compassion and understanding for oneself and for others. Resilience is cultivated through overcoming pain, setbacks, and heartaches over and over. Maybe you've experienced this too, that simple concept of getting back up again when you've been knocked down. And since I've had my fair share of that, and I've got this legacy of Lizzy to uphold, I want to create a sacred space where we can come together as a community and transform our grief into light. Just as the old oak tree on our farm extends its branches to shelter all who need it, this podcast extends Lizzy's legacy of holding space for others. On my journey as a light worker this last decade, I have met so many other light workers, sensitive souls, and deep feeling humans. I now know that we are all light workers, capable of bringing love and compassion, understanding, and wisdom to one another. In this season, I'll answer letters and voicemails from our community on grief, forgiveness, creativity, loneliness, heartache, and change. I use the tools I've learned as a coach, including techniques like time traveling through memories with compassion, along with a lot of magic and love from Lizzy, to provide wisdom and comfort to our listeners. My dream for you is that this space is a respite and sanctuary from the grind and chaos of the modern world. That after each episode, you have deepened your relationship with yourself and learned something new. I hope it feels as comforting and inviting to you as long hugs and the laughter of my mother have always felt to me. In this first episode, we have chosen to answer a voicemail from a woman who had the courage to call the hotline because she needed a place to leave a message. I felt that so many of us right now can relate to feeling alone, scared, or tired and wondering where to turn. We talk through small ways to carry on when maybe you aren't sure how to make it through the night, and the power of the courage to reach out to one person to tell them how you're feeling, even when you think you are all alone. My belief is that in challenging times, using our light to light the way for others is the most important thing we can do. Thank you for being here and trusting me with your heart. To share your own questions for future episodes, visit lovelizzy.co or leave us a voicemail at 813-825-4999. Let's dive in.
My name's Kris, and I just want to make it home tonight. Just tired. Just looking for a little inspiration to get me about 20 miles. Just feeling kind of run down, but that's it. I'll make it. I really appreciate you leaving this space available. Thank you. Bye.
Dear Kris, I have been on so many highways late at night feeling this way. I used to use driving as a way to get space and think through the things that I was feeling. But I've also had times in my life where I had multiple jobs and I was leaving them late and I was feeling weary and run down from the pressure of the day. And I would roll down the window to get some fresh air just to stay awake. What I love about your message is the honesty and the courage to even tell someone that you were feeling this way. We all kind of know that we're in this age of a loneliness epidemic. They keep telling us through their research and their data that we all feel more alone and disconnected than ever. I can really relate to this as an introvert. It's challenging for me to enter the really busy spaces of modern culture, just all of the channels that are on all the time without our permission. And this often causes me to go inward. Sometimes when I go inward, it's not a very loving place. I wish I could say I was one of those humans that has the most beautiful, positive, optimistic internal dialogue. There are definitely some ghosts and demons in there that I have to wrestle when I'm alone. And even when I am intentionally alone, like taking alone time or taking space, because that is what I truly need to recover from the day, the demons are still there waiting for me with thoughts about how alone I am or unlovable I am, or just that same line on repeat. I feel so tired. I feel so tired. And I know that tiredness can come from really hard work. And I loved my earned tired. When I earn my tired, it is like the most triumphant I can feel. I've had many times in my life where I've earned my tired, but I've also had many times in my life where my tired just appeared. Often it was related to the stresses of life, too many things going wrong at the same time, too many people I love navigating hard times, or personal setbacks, or stress in my business. And that stuff can feel super heavy. I often have clients come to me and they're trying to describe their tiredness or their burnout. And I am able to liken it to having like a 10,000 pound gorilla on your chest. No matter how hard you try to get up and get going, you feel like you weigh 10,000 pounds. A lot of times we don't know what to do from there. We can't get to our gumption. We can't get to our creativity. We can't even hear our intuition. The only voice we're hearing is, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I feel so alone. I chose your question for our opening episode because I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. The world is pretty topsy-turvy right now, and there are a lot of things swirling around us. Just bearing witness right now is really difficult. I think that many of us have been tired and alone, feeling weary and overwhelmed, and not exactly sure where to turn. I wanted to make sure that anyone out there in our community who has felt this way and thinks that it's because something is wrong with them, that they know that they're not alone and nothing is wrong with them. Many times in life, we are dealing with situations that are wearing us down, and we don't even know that they have that much of an impact on our energy and our emotions. As highly sensitive, deeply feeling individuals, we have big capacity, really big capacity. That means that we can hold a lot. If you think about a bucket and you think about a normal size bucket. And then you think about one of those like backyard pools that you have above ground that everyone can swim in every summer. Like that's the capacity of a deeply feeling person. So oftentimes we're moving through our day and we're moving through our work and we're moving through our relationships and we are holding all the dang space. It's not even that anyone has asked us to do this. It's our natural inclination. Almost like our posture just goes right to the setting of I'm here, I'm open, I'm ready to help. And there's nothing wrong with that being our capacity or that being our natural state. It's beautiful. But what happens when we're not consciously holding that space and we're just in our habit of holding all the space and filling up our giant bucket, we don't always know when it's full. We're not always aware that we've actually met the limits of our capacity, that we actually are feeling a little emotionally dysregulated ourselves. So it's not until we're driving in the car at the end of our day with 20 miles to go that we realize we're not feeling so good. We may have actually taken on too much throughout our day. We may have actually given a little more than we had to give. And now we're in the final stretch and there's no reserves to pull on. And this feeling doesn't just show up after a long day of working. It shows up a lot after a long day of caretaking, of parenting, of dealing with a crisis, of being a teacher at a time when schools don't feel as safe as they used to and kids are coming in with all sorts of things that they need you to hold. It's being at the long end of a day of service, like a firefighter or a police officer or a social worker. That's where most of our deeply feeling heroes go to work, to be of service. And whether that's to their family and their kiddos, their partner, their community, or because they've taken on a job of service, that's what they do because it lights them up to help others. I want to really spend some time today giving to those that are the deeply feeling heroes of our world who are doing things in the world that are of service to others. And I want to say your superpowers, they're beautiful. And I'd like to help you create a system for managing that superpower and still having something left at the end of your day. The first place this can start, the first step of building this system is to start to pay attention. A lot of times, deeply feeling humans who suffer from loneliness and exhaustion and burnout, they aren't in tune with the body signals. And our body is talking to us. There are a lot of books on this, and we'll link some of them in the show notes. The Body Keeps Score, When the Body Says No. So at a high level, the first step is that awareness. Everyone's body speaks to them differently. I'm just going to go through one of the ways that I notice that I am about to be over my capacity and my body's trying to tell me. Number one is tears come super easy. A lot of people call this hangry. I call this, I think I have low blood sugar, but really I've given too much. And so that same kind of like hypoglycemic feeling where your hands are shaking a little, your belly feels empty, and it's almost like you really need nourishment, like you've been in the desert and you haven't had a drink of water for weeks. That's how my body speaks to me when I have gone too far across my line of giving and not nourishing myself. In order to avoid getting to the end of my day with 20 miles to go and not feeling like I'm going to make it, I pause throughout the day and I take little moments for myself. And I think a lot of times we think that self-love and self-care and rehabilitation is a huge mountain that we have to climb, but really it can be 30, 60 seconds. Sometimes that looks like sitting down and just taking some deep breaths. Sometimes it does look like actually getting a snack. But one of the steps I want to really have you implement immediately is that when you get any signal from your body, which is like you find yourself holding your breath, you find yourself feeling hungry when you're not hungry, or the tears are coming really easily, like you're finding yourself being emotionally reactive to things that would not normally bother you, really small things or things that have never really bothered you before, but they're just suddenly so daunting. Or suddenly that thing that your partner says that is normally funny is not funny at all. Or your phone rings and you feel like you you want to take a sledgehammer to it, that's when you know that you've reached your capacity. If that is where you are, I want you to pause and simply ask yourself, what do I need right now? And many of you might say, I have no idea how to answer that question. And I have so many obligations and so many things to do and so many other things and people to think about that when I ask that question, I get laughter back. Literally, there's someone inside of me who's laughing at me, thinking that we even are going to be able to do something that we need. So if that's the case, if that's where you are and your system is like, what a joke, I want you to ask a different question. And that question is, if I wanted to help my best friend right now, what would I do for her? What one small thing would I do for her? And I want to be really, really vulnerable here. I have sat for months when I was faced with depression and written myself a daily love letter and literally put it in the mail. Like stamped that thing, put heart stickers on it, sent it to myself so the next day I could go down to my little mailbox in my apartment building and act as if someone I love sent me a letter and then read what I wrote to myself as if it came from someone else that loved me. That's as far as I want you to be willing to go to fill your cup back up. Sometimes the love and connection and belonging that we're seeking externally might not be available to us, or the people that we love are so used to us handling it that they don't even notice when we don't have it together, or they don't even notice that we don't have capacity, or to be even more candid, we're hiding it from them. We're the ones that are just being like, I'm good, I got it, I'm good, I got it. Sometimes the love that we need does have to start with us. And it's not because it's not available from others. And it's not because there aren't people that love you. And it's not because you're alone. It's because it's just the first step. Getting that relationship with yourself where you realize that the only way to figure out what you need from others is to know what you need yourself. So the practice that we want to do when we realize that we've had a couple of days or weeks or months where at the end of the day, we are on empty is number one, we want to pause throughout the day when we're feeling any signal that we have gone over our side of the bridge and given too much. And we want to say, what do I need right now? And if we can't answer the question of what do I need, I want you to ask the question of what would I do for my best friend right now? Or what would I say to my best friend right now if she were the one that was feeling exhausted and emotionally overwhelmed? How would I support her? And then I want you to take the action of giving that support to yourself, even if it's weird. Okay. I also really want you to think about notating how your energy shifts throughout the day based on the circumstance. So one of the things we do as light workers is that we show up for things that actually don't really work for us. And that does not mean that I'm saying that you've got a bunch of stuff going on in your life that you have to change. I'm not saying that. But I think starting to realize which parts of your life take from you and which parts of your life give to you is a really good beginning exercise to stay out of that overwhelmed burnout danger zone. And so what we're really doing here, Kris, is we are developing an internal system that helps us navigate the world with a little more ease and keep some of those energy reserves for ourselves. I know that it can feel like when everyone else we love is on fire, or the world is on fire, or our neighbors are struggling, that taking time for ourselves is impossible. We're going to talk about that a lot this season, like a lot, because I think it's a theme with all of us. We want to be there for the people we love. We want to do beautiful, excellent work in the world. Sometimes my biggest burnout moments were from doing something I loved for many, many days, like 20 hours a day. And I have no regrets that I got to make movies or be on that TV show or whatever the thing I was doing that I loved. I was so happy while I was doing it, because I do notice that even being excited and putting your all into your work can lead to burnout. And there are ways that we pursue our excellence, achieving everything we want to achieve in our lives. And we still have a system that keeps us out of burnout. And it's not more hustle culture, and it's not doing more. It's attuning. It's being with oneself and honoring oneself. So today, we're just going to start with awareness. I just want you to start paying attention throughout the day when your body is trying to talk to you. And I want you to talk back. And I also want you to know, dear listener, that you are not alone. I've been there on the floor of the bathroom, on the floor in my closet, driving in my car, feeling so alone. And sometimes when I'm feeling tired and alone, the voice is telling me, don't be a burden to others. You need to handle this yourself. And I just want to say, no, you don't. And it can be really scary to reach out and tell someone you love that you're not feeling like yourself. And it can be really scary to admit that you're tired and worn out and you don't know where to turn. And that's why I'm so grateful to Kris for calling the hotline and letting us know that she just needed some companionship and inspiration on her way home. Because just that call alone can trigger a change in your brain and your nervous system. Releasing that feeling somewhere else can be the catalyst for you returning to homeostasis and finding the energy you need to keep going. We all need each other, and we all need help every once in a while. And receiving help can be really hard, but we're going to learn how to do that here together. Thank you, Kris, for your vulnerability and your courage. Thank you, dear listener, for tuning in and being a light worker and a deeply feeling human who wants to make the world a better place. I hope you love this season. I think there's something for everyone in every episode. And if you're someone who wants to ask Lizzy a question or has something on your heart or mind, don't be afraid to reach out. You can submit your question on lovelizzy.co, LOVLIZZY.co, or you can call us at 813-825-4999. Until next time, I love you. You're a wonderful human, and I'm so happy that you're a part of this community. This podcast is produced by Love Lizzy. Our editor is Kayla Hill, and the music is by my very own sister, Julia Sabatine. If you like what you heard here, we would love for you to hit the subscribe button. See you next time.